You've been talking about the foosball at school? Ow!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us here at Geeks Who Like Sports. I am Ray Carsillo, and beautiful, well, very much on fire, Los Angeles, California. Joining the best for the entire world, Lee Elias. Lee over in Pennsylvania. Just got a text message. Water being turned off today to help with water conservation. So I have no water
live
now.
Update.
No water until 2. Literally just got the text message. Really sorry about that, folks. Sorry to disrupt the show, but until 2 p.m. I have no water now.
Well, actually, it brings up a good point, Ray. I did want to start the show with this.
Yes.
That when the fires had started in LA, everyone was like, "Oh, okay," making their little like jokes. It's not funny anymore, and I just want to say to everybody out there,
I would argue it's never funny.
It was, well, you know what I'm saying. Like it's not fun to make jokes at the moment about it because people are really in trouble out there. So just want to give a shout out to everybody, including you, Ray, in Los Angeles. The nation sees you right now. I'm trying to say, when people like to politicize things, people like to find the humor in things. And I think that collectively as a nation now, we're like, okay, it's not funny anymore, right? Like this is becoming a real issue. And you can see people unite over it, which is actually a nice thing. But just wanted to give a shout out to everybody out in Los Angeles in that area. I know we have a lot of listeners out there. It's impossible not to think about you right now. So I hope that these fires end soon. I know you guys had some big wind gusts today, the Santa Ana winds. And again, for the rest of the nation, I don't think we talked about this last night. I do not think people understand how powerful the Santa Ana winds are. And I said to you last night, Ray, I said they're powerful enough. They named them, right? They named them.
Annual hurricane level winds. They are annual hurricane level winds. Again, they're going to gust up to 70 miles an hour today, which is hurricane level. The reason why the fire got out of control to begin with was the fire started during 100-mile-an-hour wind with the Santa Ana winds. And unfortunately, the reason why, and that's why the firefighters could not get to the fires quickly to contain this, was because they could not get the air support that they needed, right? The water carrying planes and helicopters, because they couldn't fly in 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Right.
So, and that's why this situation got as bad as it is to begin with. But if you want to, again, folks, if you are listening and you are able, donate to the American Red Cross. That is what everyone out here is saying. That is the best way to help if you feel you can help. If you don't know anybody directly and you want to assist, that is the way to go. If you are
couch
local,
potato job's looking really nice right now, Ray.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. My bags are already packed. Quite literally.
I believe you. Yeah. I'll just say it again. Look. We're thinking about you out there. And for those of you wondering, no, it is not like a candle with the wind. The oxygen feeds fire. Fire thrives without rain, and everything out there is dry because there's no rain. It is a perfect storm.
And that's the thing is that the last 2 years, LA has had record rains, which has made everything very lush and very green, and it looked very nice. But then winter came, and unfortunately, it has been we now had 2 years of record rain, and now a record drought again, where we've had 1/10 of an inch of rain since last January. The last 4 months, but like very, very, again, very, very little rain.
No rain.
Last January. So now all the growth from those 2 years of rain dried out, died, and became the perfect kindling. And unfortunately, like you said, this was a perfect storm of elements and whatnot. And look, there's gonna be plenty of time to point the finger and the blame at our dumb mayor and at other people as time goes on. But as of right now, we just need to
we gotta
rally come together. And
that's what I mean by not funny. Like it's not. Yeah, it's just not like that anymore. This is a national disaster, and we need to treat it like that. So again, just thinking about everybody out there, and I hope you're safe. And if not, I hope you get safe, and I hope this ends soon because it's gonna. This is a year's recovery now. Not normal, right? It's not like it was in the past.
This is going to take years to bounce back from. Right? Like literally 40,000 acres have burned. Thousands upon thousands of homes, lives lost. This is a
national disaster.
This is a disaster. This is again. I can't. stress it enough. And
Yeah.
again,
That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
I think that I think people know about it now, but I'm not quite sure people understand the severity of it. That's why I wanted to bring this up. So anyway, look, like Ray said, look to the Red Cross, check on your friends if you haven't already.
Yeah.
And just understand we got to come together with this stuff. It's not red and blue right now. All right. I'm not making a joke. It's literally on fire, and we got to help people out.
Yeah, exactly. So, so it is what it is. And unfortunately, I mean, it does look, knock on wood, it does look like the worst is behind us.
Yeah.
As of this moment, there are still wind gusts happening as we speak, but fingers crossed, the next 24 to 48 hours going to be really interesting for us to see if we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, or if this is something that we're going to have to continue to deal with for the foreseeable future. So, these fires, we're going to have to deal with this for the foreseeable future anyway, but these fires hopefully will be under control.
Well, I will help us segue out of this. It is going to be a sports heavy show today because there's not much going on in geekdom. But the one thing, and again, I'm not making light of this, but I wish Superman was real right now, because Superman could just fly over to California and blow everything out with his ice breath. Yeah, but we do have some interesting Superman news and a little Q&A later in the show, so stay tuned for them. Just a tease. But this is going to be a football-heavy show today on Geeks Who Like Sports. We have the NFL championship game set. We have the college football championship game set, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's been a really quiet week, folks.
Understandably,
in terms of in terms of the news cycle has been dominated by what we just discussed, and so it's been, in terms of sports, not a whole heck of a lot going on. And not a lot in the geek world. That will change, obviously, in the next few weeks.
And we do know that I've been reading a lot of geek news has been halted, believe it or not. Center of the geek world is LA. So a lot of geek news has been halted. Trailers have been halted, and correctly
trailers,
so. It's not a good look when it's like, here's the new Superman trailer. Yeah. It's not a good look right now.
Oscar voting's been halted. Everything has come to a standstill, and like you said, understandably so.
Yeah.
So it is.
So we will as well. How about that?
Yes. Yeah. So we're moving on. I mean, and I guess that's a perfect way we'll segue into the NFL. We'll start with the game that was most impacted, to where it had to be played at a neutral site last night, which was the Vikings and the Rams. And even though both teams had to travel, the Rams were the only one who actually showed up.
Well, makes sense.
Yeah. Well, yes, and we're going to discuss this because obviously the Rams we're going to take on the Eagles. We'll get into our predictions later, but the Rams played like a team that had something to play for.
Right.
They played like a team that was inspired. They played like a team that was carrying a city on their shoulders. And they tied an NFL record, 9 sacks in the game. They tied 6 sacks in one half, also tying a record. And the Rams, we both picked the Vikings, but we were wrong on that one, Lee, because the Vikings, both 5 seeds actually, one of the 5 seeds showed up. And the Vikings got absolutely demolished. Sam Darnold looked like he did in his Jet days. And the Vikings, this is a fun fact. The Vikings lost 4 games this entire year. Twice to the Lions and twice to the Rams.
That's interesting.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And their season's over.
I'll say this. It shows you how important identity can be to a team. LA obviously feeling the fires right now and using that as a reason, and using that as something to push them and motivate them to play. And they all said that after the game, that they understand, hey, look, we know LA's watching. We know the world's watching. With Minnesota, and we've talked about this so many years in a row, you showed up to play a regular season game. And
yep.
I don't know how you were not prepared for a team that was going to unleash hell on you.
Yeah.
You looked like a regular season team. You played like a regular season team. You got beat by a playoff team. And you can say whatever you want about motivation. You got to show up to play. I mean, you got to know that they're going to show up and ready to kill you. It's not the regular season. This is literally do or die football. Now, not every loser this week that we're going to discuss played like a regular season team. Some teams just lost to another team. Yeah. But the Vikings, how are you not prepared for that onslaught at a neutral site, which was, by the way, more Vikings fans than LA fans.
It was 60-40 in favor of Minnesota.
We also have to give a huge shout out to Arizona. Really taking care of LA. If you guys watched the game last night, they really did everything. I mean, they painted the field. They obviously flew in the Rams and I believe the Vikings. Like they sent their jets out, concessions. I mean, they did everything they could, and they did it in a week.
Yeah.
Which is pretty incredible when you think about it. So we got to give the Cardinals organization a huge shout out. That's the NFL coming to protect us. That's a great story. It really is a great story that one team would help another. It goes to show you that it's a business, right? They want to help each other out, but it also shows you that there can be humanity in professional sports. Yes. Right. And that some things are bigger than the game. And we got to remind ourselves that.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And the Rams showed up and the Vikings didn't. And again, to your point, the Arizona Cardinals organization did a bang up job for LA.
Everything.
They flew up all the Rams, their families, their pets, everything. Yeah. And Lee, to your point about the Vikings not showing up, some of it was Darnold's fault.
Yeah, like he didn't look ready. Yeah.
No. But also that offensive line got absolutely obliterated. Like there were some days he just didn't have. He had 2 pass rushers in his face on half the plays. They said in his entire career he had never been pressured that much.
Right.
And that at some point you need to start putting 2 running backs in the backfield.
Right.
You got to start protecting your quarterback a little bit. And it was clear again. Look, McVay. They say he's one of the best coaches in the NFL for a reason, even though he's only 39. God, I'm 39. Oh my God. It's a central crisis. Anyway, no, midlife crisis. Go see my comedy show on the 17th. Anyway, we've got, you've basically got a team that did not adjust. Right. The Vikings did not adjust. You give up 6 sacks in the first half, and that's not adjusting. Like that should not have happened. It's not like the Rams were going to stop coming at you.
I'm going to say this too. Look, I would expect a first quarter onslaught from the Rams. Like you should expect that. Sure. I don't expect the first half. I mean, it wasn't even a half. The whole game. I mean, Minnesota had a little life in the second half.
Yeah, but by then it was too late.
It was way too late. It's like you have to make adjustments. And again, I know these football coaches love to have their plan. I would question, Ray, how good of a coach you are if you cannot make an adjustment in the middle of a game like that.
Yeah.
We've seen this, but we saw this Atlanta in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. I mean, you've McVay can do that, by the way, because McVay's a genius.
Yeah.
All right. But it's the team that you got to be able to pivot and adjust. And again, they just seemed unprepared to me. All right. And I might be wrong. I'm sure they were there watching film all week, but I think from a mental standpoint, they were unprepared. And also I think the lack of experience really, really showed. Like we do have to remember the Rams.
Yes.
They're not far removed from a Super Bowl. They have many players from that team still there.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford. This is Sam Darnold's first playoff start. A lot of these guys, it's their first starts. Yeah.
I wish you had a mulligan on this one.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, but again, talking about game plans, like Cooper Kupp didn't have a catch until I think the late in the third quarter.
Really late. It's a nice catch, but yeah.
It was, but like the Rams were like, the Rams did something that we haven't really seen from them the whole year, which was like bunch of 3 tight end sets, 2 tight end sets, and like, because you know what? They also understand that the Vikings blitz a lot. They had the 4th most sacks in the NFL this year. So what did they do? They went jumbo. They did extra protection for Stafford.
Right.
They did quick passes. And guess what? It worked because McVay's a genius. And to get to your point, Kevin O'Connell, you need to adjust. I'll say this.
Yeah.
It's not on and again, I'll say this also. This wasn't on the Vikings defense. This was on there was the scoop and score for a touchdown there at the end of the first half. There was the Vikings offense really let that team down in a lot of ways. And because the Viking defense really could only be credited for giving up 20 points. And in the NFL nowadays, your defense holds the other team to 20 points. You have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, it's true. And they did a good job. I mean, again, it's great execution by the Rams.
100%.
We'll play the Eagles now next week.
Yes, they will play the Eagles, and I guess we can move over to the Eagles now. We both predicted the Eagles would win. The Eagles would win. They won an ugly game.
It was
an ugly game. Again, it didn't look like either team really showed up there. The Eagles did more so. I mean, the Eagles did more so, obviously, than the Packers, but the Packers got off to a terrible start.
Yeah, the way I would look at this game is you had Jalen Hurts coming back after several weeks off. You had several players coming back after a week off.
Yeah,
they were shaking the rust off. I'm not worried. I'm glad they got that out in that game because Green Bay's not nothing, and we still beat them pretty handedly.
Yeah,
with that. So it was one of those games of, again, the Eagles are just a better team talent wise, and I think that's what won the game for them. It's not the Green Bay crap the bed. Just Eagles are better even on a bad day. They're a better team right now, and we saw that.
Sure, but I will also say that the Packers, much like the Steelers, like we said, they were some of these teams backed into the playoffs. They were on the wrong end of momentum. The Packers had not been playing well. The Packers also very banged up, which, by the way, a lot of injuries for Green Bay even in this game, which only depleted them even more. Right. And then like again, they Green Bay had opportunities. They missed the chip shot field goal early on. There's little things that kind of death by 1,000 cuts.
Yep,
a little bit, right? And then Jordan Love at the end couldn't make the throws he needed to make.
Yeah,
and the Eagles'
inexperience there. Yeah, so this is a team with the Eagles. A lot of them had been in the Super Bowl. Again, they know how to win. They know what they need to do.
Yes. Yeah,
I think this one was a lot of experience over new guys. Green Bay will be better in the future.
Yeah, they need some depth, but I mean, obviously the play of that game is Goddard basically stiff arming 3 times the cornerback Valentine for that basically the game breaking touchdown.
Yep.
And the Eagles are just a better team, but I think this is going to be a good one. Eagles versus Rams.
It's going to be a great game. Yeah, and it's funny because I mentioned the identity for the Rams before. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays into it because by Sunday, I think as you said, the fires will have died down a little bit. Things might be on the recovery. And the Rams have kind of done what they needed to do last week. Now, my gut is telling me the Rams are going to be completely exhausted, completely emotionally and physically exhausted now. All right. There's a huge win for them yesterday in Monday Night Football, but you're not playing Minnesota now. All right. Yeah. You're playing the Eagles, and it's not as simple as just shutting down Saquon. So, I'm picking the Eagles to win this game. I'm fully biased, obviously, but I actually just think the Eagles are the better team. Yeah, and I think the Eagles have an identity too. All right, sure. Although it's a little bit of a different identity. You can't forget these guys completely screwed up last season. One of the worst collapses in history in the NFL. That's part of their identity this year. And while they feel for LA, they're not here to get walked over like the Minnesota Vikings just did. They're here to win. And they're going to be in Philadelphia, which is a major.
That is a big deal. That is a big deal.
Okay, the Rams will literally be in hell. I don't even want to guess what Eagles fans might be shouting at them, but it'll be distracting.
We don't need to get into that story about that unfortunate that one gentleman who I believe is now
we can get into that.
I'm not going to say what he said, but he absolutely.
Let's get into it because
absolutely tore apart this poor Packers lady.
Did you see the outcome of this story? Because that's the important part for me.
He's banned from Eagles games now.
So again, I cut Ray off. There was a horrible Eagles fan saying ridiculous things to a Green Bay Packers fan, a woman.
Awful,
just unforgivable things. Eagles barred this guy from the stadium. They bought that woman and her family apparently a ton of Packers gear, paid for their flight. I mean, they really took care of her and basically said this is not appropriate. Yeah. So, look, I've been to enough football games in enough cities to know this is not limited to Philadelphia.
No,
people want that to be true. Yeah. But I've been to Commanders games. I've been to New York games.
It just feels like Eagles fans are always on camera when it
for sure. But the rowdy football fan is nothing new. All right. No. But that's a class move by the Eagles organization to A, say not acceptable, and then to B, buy that woman everything she probably wants. And again, that's the stuff you don't see. You just see the rowdy fan. The guy's an asshole. I'll say it right now. Like, there's no place for that crap.
No.
All right.
Not at all.
You're a loser. That guy's a loser. I'll say it.
Yeah.
I hope he probably feels like a hero today. All right. Just like what's his name? It got banned from every MLB park.
Well, the two Yankee fans who are now banned forever. So,
again, you're not part of the game, assholes.
Yeah. Oh goodness, it's going to get to a point where they're just going to keep raising the fences.
Yeah. They're gonna have to. Anyway, Ray, Eagles, Rams, your pick.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna agree with you here. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be a close game. Both teams have a lot of experience, but I think that a big difference is that this is gonna be in Philadelphia.
Sure.
I think the Eagles have the talent edge. I'm taking the Eagles as well. I think this is gonna be like a 28-24 Eagles win. I think it's going to be a one-score game. I think that's close too. Yeah. I think the Eagles, I think the Rams are going to run out of gas. I think similar to you, and I think that they might come out on fire. They might score like a quick touchdown or something, but the Eagles.
You're not in LA. I don't know how to say this. It's not going to be interference. And the Eagles are a better team. And we, Yeah. Again, barring the Eagles have to lose this game. It's really not for the Rams to win.
Right. Right. But again, the Rams, though, again, they have something to play for, and that does make them dangerous. That's not something they cannot be overlooked, and they are a team
I just think they are going to be exhausted. They were displaced. They had to go to Arizona. They showed up. I just think they're going to be exhausted, whereas I think the Eagles are now warmed up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. So the Eagles beat the Packers. We talked about the other team that really kind of backed into the playoffs there was the Steelers. The Steelers got obliterated by the Ravens. The Steelers, basically, they lost 5 in a row. They lost 4 in a row to end the regular season. Then they lost their last, obviously, the Baltimore game in Baltimore. And the Ravens, they look like a team that's going to be dangerous. If the Ravens play like this going forward, the Ravens are going to be very dangerous. Derrick Henry was running the ball amazingly. Lamar did just what he had to do. You didn't know if he was running it. You didn't know if he was passing it. When he passed it, he made the plays he had to make. That's why he's an MVP candidate. I mean, we both picked the Ravens. They win by 2 touchdowns. Honestly, a lot of these games, only one of these games was really very competitive the whole weekend.
Yeah, it was like the one we predicted to be competitive.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Lee, any thoughts on the Ravens giving the Steelers a shellacking? Here, by the way, Steelers now, people are talking about firing Mike Tomlin, which I think is ridiculous. What are your thoughts on that? Because there's not much to talk about with the actual game. Really.
I mean, it's amazing when you can have a coach with that kind of a winning record. You want to fire the guy.
He's never had a losing season.
I mean, look, you can make. I'll make it.
Won a Super Bowl.
I'll make it real simple. It's one of two things: either management's not providing him with the players to get him over the hump, or he doesn't know how to get the team over the hump. But he has gotten the team over the hump. So it's like.
It's like when he had Ben Roethlisberger, they were a perennial powerhouse. Now he's got Russell Wilson on the downturn of his career and Justin Fields as a reclamation project.
I think he's actually doing more with less now. Like, I think Steelers fans, you're lucky you're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think Tomlin is the reason that you are.
Yeah.
All right. So you might want to think twice about that. And again, you never make those decisions the day after the season ends. That would be stupid. And I'll tell you what, that's one of those situations. If you fire him, someone else is winning big. Because they're going to get him.
You get Chicago, Dallas, New Orleans. They're going to be on the horn with him. Miami,
Dallas.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Which, by the way, Mike McCarthy, no longer the Dallas Cowboys head coach. Got to love the spite out of Jerry Jones, who, while he was still under contract for 1 week, was like, I'm not going to allow you to interview with the Bears. And then as soon as the contract was up, he's like, yeah, we're not renewing your contract.
That's horrible.
Jerry Jones. That's Jerry World. Jerry World. Anyway, the Steelers, they need a quarterback. That's what they needed since Ben Roethlisberger retired. They need a quarterback. So no surprise here. The Ravens have a quarterback. The Ravens advance. The Ravens are also going to take on a team with a quarterback, the Buffalo Bills. Again, not surprisingly. I mean, yes, Denver missed a field goal there at the end of the half. That would have made it a little more interesting, a little tighter. But the second half was all Buffalo. The Bills dominated. The Broncos are going to build on this. The Broncos are going to be a dangerous team in the next couple of years. I still really like Bo Nix. Also found out after the game that he was playing with a bad back. The Bills shellacked the Broncos. The Broncos are a team on the rise, but not surprisingly, the Buffalo Bills circle the wagons at home. I think it's the 5th straight year they've won in the wild card round now. The Bills handled their business. They will now host the Ravens next week. Lee, any thoughts on Buffalo and Denver?
No, just that Denver is going the right direction. I mean, that's a team to watch 3 or 4 seasons from now. And in the way that they're building. But again, the divisions and the conferences are top heavy, and the champions are the champions right now. I mean, it's going the way we thought. Yeah, no, for sure. So the Bills have won 5 division titles in a row. Again, 5 straight wild card games. Josh Allen looking like another MVP candidate. Lee, this is the game of the week. Easily.
Bills versus Ravens. It is the Sunday night finale of the divisional round. Who are you taking here in this game? Which, by the way, for for folks who are bettors, not that we are or we're discounting that, but if you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Blah 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 blah. This is a pick'em.
It really is, and I'm picking the Bills just because I think that they have a bit of a more story. I think they have a more well-rounded team. I think they're hungrier, but the Ravens could really win this game.
Absolutely.
But again, I'm making a pick. I'm picking the Bills. I think it's going to be Bills, Kansas City.
I think it's going to be Buffalo as well.
Yeah.
Again, it is boy. These are two very evenly matched teams.
Greg, it's how it should be. It's how it should be at this point of the season.
Yeah. I mean, it's the 2 and the 3. The Ravens might have a slight edge on defense, and the Ravens might have a slight edge on offense. But you're going to Buffalo.
Right. That's why I'm picking them. It's just the slight little edge like that. It's going to be freezing up there.
Yes. Not to say Baltimore's not used to the cold, but
not that kind of cold.
Yeah. And I think that James Cook proved last week that he's a legit running back, right? Look, Derrick Henry's a special player, but the drop-off isn't as massive as people think. Obviously, same thing. You could probably give Lamar the slight edge over Josh Allen, although I think Josh Allen's a better pure passer than Lamar.
I also think Josh Allen's playing more consistently than Lamar. Now, if Lamar has one of his best days ever, that changes the whole conversation. But consistency is key. And I think look, Lamar has a lot of experience as well. I just think, Josh Allen right now just seems to be in a different flow state than him from a want to get to the Super Bowl, right? But you can't look past the Ravens. You got to win this game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, we're taking the Bills. This could come down. This could be an overtime game. This could come down right down to the wire.
They should be hard to pick. They should be hard to pick. It's probably going to come down to whoever has the ball last.
Right? Maybe, yeah.
As it did with Washington, which we'll talk about shortly.
Yeah, but first, talking about teams that love to have the ball last. The Chiefs are going to be welcoming the Texans to Kansas City. The Texans, this was a game, again, I was shocked. The Chargers did not show up. Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions, which I think was as many he had thrown the entire year or something. The Charger defense did all they could, but the Charger offense, very similar to Minnesota. I don't know what happened to the 5 seeds this week, but they got snake bit in what I thought were very winnable games for them. Yeah. And they got absolutely shellacked. Look, Jim Harbaugh, we said at the end of the year, Jim Harbaugh, first year head coach with the Chargers, obviously a lot of coaching experience, but first year with the Chargers, turned that team around very quickly. But they did not show up in this first round matchup. They had the early lead. They came out on fire, and then things settled down. And the Texans were like, "Oh yeah, this is our home turf. This is our." And then C.J. Stroud played great. Yeah, they were running the ball. The defense played great. I still don't think. Quickly, any thoughts on the Chargers and Texans before we go to the?
Look, Stroud is going to be. He might want to be a Super Bowl quarterback one day.
I give it a couple of years.
Yeah,
I give it just a couple of years.
Look, the Chargers have just as much to play for as the Rams did. So I was a little surprised that they didn't partake in that. I guess, but no, look, good for the Texans, dude. This is them coming alive as well. You're starting to see people separate themselves from the pack. I don't have much else on that game. It just you didn't show up to play. It was a regular season game for you.
And that's the thing. And it's a lot of people thought the Texans, because they played in a soft division, they kind of just waltzed into the playoffs. And a lot of people in LA, which LA sports media is some of the worst in the world. There's nobody out here knows what they're talking about. They kept calling this a bye week for the Chargers. And by the way, you don't think the Texans, but by the way, they actually showed it that their coach was DeMarco, I can't think of his name right now.
That guy.
The DeMarco Ryans, D'Amico Ryans. My apologies. I was just blanking. Had a brain fart. It happens. Use that as bulletin board material. He's like, and he said it. He's like, how about that bye week now for the Chargers? Huh?
That's just why would you ever go into any playoff environment with that mentality? Is beyond me. Awful. You know what I tell my players, Ray, when they say, "Who's the opponent? Who are we facing?" The person in the way from someone giving you a trophy. That is my mentality when I coach. It's what the team you're playing is in the way of someone handing you a trophy. It's about us. It's not about them. All right. You have to prepare. You have to know the tactics to beat the other team. You have to know the players on the other team, but it's not about the other team. Yeah. And when you say this is a bye week, you just made it about the other team. It doesn't sound like it, but you did. And you gave them a reason. Yep. Right. Every time I'm in the playoffs, whoever you're playing is in your way from someone handing you a trophy. And you don't stop until, guess what, Ray? Someone hands you a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Texans win by almost 3 touchdowns.
Giving away my coaching secrets live.
Yeah, there we go. And like you said, you gave them, again, why would you give them bulletin board material?
Anything.
They did, and the Texans took advantage of it. That said, they now have to go to Kansas City. to play the as
to get the rest.
I love what Scott Van Pelt calls it, the Arrowhead Invitational, because it seems to be every year that you have to go to Kansas City.
That's really good, actually. Look, yeah. I'm interested to see what happens here. I'm going to pick Kansas City in that game.
Me too.
Because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But, man, is it delicate out there right now in Kansas City, right? We don't know what team's going to show up.
Yeah.
Again, the other thing, though, too, is the way the media has taken their one-loss season and turned it into this, like, oh, they're the worst one-loss team in history. It's like they have one loss, guys. One. All right. And while that might be statistically true about the Chiefs, they're still the Chiefs, and they know how to win. And if, I heard this out yesterday, Mahomes has not thrown a pass since Christmas.
Yeah.
So either you're going to get really healthy Kansas City ready to go, or you're going to see an upset. But I'm picking Kansas City. My gut tells me to pick Kansas City.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think Kansas City. I think that now look, this could be one of those games where maybe CJ Stroud does become anointed and goes to that next level.
It's possible.
Yeah. It's absolutely possible, right? Crazier things have happened. The Chiefs 15-2. What was it? I think they had. I want to double check this. It was an abysmal point differential in the regular season, but the regular season Chiefs versus the playoff Kansas City Chiefs are two completely different teams, right? Like this is when the Chiefs are like, okay, now we play football.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Chiefs point differential over the course of the entire season, they were plus 59.
Yeah.
Like that is abysmal. Now, to be fair, the Texans was actually a net zero. I didn't realize that. But like the Bills plus 157, the Ravens plus 157, the Eagles plus 160, the Lions plus 222, even the Bucs, who aren't in the playoffs anymore, plus 117.
I'm going to tell you this right now. It's not an unimportant stat. The only stat that matters this time of year is WNL.
Sure.
Right? And Kansas City knows how to win. And I'm going to say it again, unless they come out super rusty. And even if they do, I think there's a good chance you'll see the Texans go up early in this game. But when they find that rhythm, I mean, that's Kansas City 101. They're losing at halftime. Then they decide, I want to go to the Super Bowl again. They're healthy too.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. They are more healthy now than they have been for much of the year. And again, that's the importance of the bye week.
Yeah.
Right. That's why you get that bye.
They needed that.
And it's a big, big deal. No, I wouldn't be surprised either if the Texans are up 10-7 at the half or something.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City wins 28-13.
Yeah. That's what I think is likely to happen. So KC over the Texans. Yeah. Creating the matchup that we all want.
Yeah. Would be Bills and Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes.
Which is what I want to see. I wouldn't mind seeing Ravens, KC either, to be fair.
I mean, to be honestly, any of these final four teams, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun AFC championship, whether it's Lamar versus Stroud or Allen versus Mahomes, like whatever, however it goes.
Yeah,
you've got the right four teams here left in the AFC, and it is going to be fun.
I can't say the same about the NFC, but yes.
You cannot. At least not in my opinion. Final game of the weekend. This was the one. So I went 4-2 in my picks, and you went 3-3. This was the one game that we disagreed on last week. I took the Commanders, and you took the Bucs, but we both expected this to be the best game of the weekend, and it was.
It was.
Chris Collinsworth, even a broken clock is right twice a day. He called it the divisional doink. It doinked in on a last-second field goal to get them to the divisional round. Washington wins their first playoff game in 20 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And will now have the honor of heading to Detroit to get their butts kicked by Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. Lee, what are your thoughts on Bucs and Washington?
I should have said this on the show last week. It was going to come down to who had the ball last, and that's the way it was. That's how the cookie crumbled. The Commanders had the ball last. They barely, by about a dollar bill size post, got into that next round. But it was a great game. I mean, everybody showed up. I mean, and again, that was the battle of the lower playoff teams, right?
Yeah.
And it was a great game. Just to give some perspective on that 20 years, Ray. I believe the last time Washington won a playoff game, they said Ovechkin had about 25 goals in his career.
Yes.
He has scored 800 something goals since then. Like his entire goal scoring career has taken place over that gap, which is incredible. Yeah. But look, way to go for the fans of Washington. You got new owner, new identity.
Yes.
This is a great way to start.
Celebrating with everybody. That was good.
Yeah, it's a great start to this kind of new chapter for Washington and the Commanders. And I wouldn't sleep on them too much. Unlikely, very unlikely they're going to win. Against the Lions, but man, they're here. I mean, look, there's another divisional rival here. They suddenly have just skipped over the Cowboys big time, not a little bit. Wow, that's a playoff team. Yeah. They're gonna get more dangerous next year. So
let's
see what happens.
Look, especially I said it at the draft. I said Jaden Daniels was going to be the best quarterback to come out of this draft. He has been. He's the next Lamar. He's the next Patrick Mahomes. You can tell, you can see it, right? As long as he stays healthy, knock on wood. Because again, that's the real RG3. I still think RG3 would have had a great career if Shanahan didn't force him to go play against the Seahawks in that wild card round on one knee.
Yep, it was dumb.
Yeah, very dumb. Sacrificing your future for a week, a short-term present that was not going to manifest because that team was not very good. But anyway, Jaden Daniels is phenomenal, and I think that again, look, the difference in this game. By the way, for everybody who's like destroying Baker Mayfield for that fumble, it sucks. It sucks. It was a bad play, and that let Washington right back in that game. I would kill to have Baker Mayfield right now.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The way he ran that one time, he ran the ball and he pushed guys out of the way. That's the guy you want on your team.
He is a competitor. He is a fighter. He will only get better. And look, I think that's a team that believes in him. And overall, you get him another. Again, the Bucs were also very banged up, like a lot of teams going into the playoffs.
Right.
Don't blame Baker Mayfield. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan.
He is a hero to me after that game. I'm not. You don't pick one play again. You know what? You do pick one play. The play where he ran over two Commanders.
Yeah.
You want that guy as your quarterback. All right.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Right. Lions, Commanders, both picking Lions. I think we all picked the same teams this week.
We did. We all picked the same team.
But I think that game may be closer than people think, but I think the Lions are going to run away.
The big question mark is going to be is how healthy has the Lions defense gotten? I know Alex Anzalone came back in the last game of the season, which is a big deal for them. He's only going to be stronger. Right. The Lions defense, they also get David Montgomery back, which means their two-headed running back monster now is back at 100%, with Sonic and Knuckles, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Montgomery, which, by the way, I love that nickname. That's a great nickname. Used to be Thunder and Lightning for the Giants back in the day. Sonic and Knuckles way better. But their two-headed running back attack, obviously that offense. Here's the thing. Even if the Lions defense struggles to contain Jaden Daniels, what's the Washington defense going to do for that Lions offense? Nothing. Even if this turns into a shootout, I think the Lions have the advantage. They literally just had a shootout 2 weeks ago in San Francisco.
They did.
Which I get. San Francisco's not playing as well as they did last year, but this is a battle-tested team. This is a team with something to prove. This is a team that is driven. It's going to be in Detroit, which is going to be a madhouse. You got to go with the Lions.
Yeah,
you got to
go
with the
time.
Lions. So. Eagles, Bills, Chiefs, Lions. Eagles, Lions, and Bills, Chiefs. That should be a fun. If that happens,
we've been predicting that since the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, pretty much. Those are the four best teams. Those are the four teams that should be in the conference championships. And then hopefully it's no offense, Lee, I hope it's Bills, Lions, just because then somebody has to win. Somebody has to win.
Yeah, no, I don't. I hope it's Eagles. But
I know you want the Eagles there. I know, and that's fair and that's fine. But I'm just saying, I would love to see Bills Lions, because then finally one of these cursed franchises will no longer be cursed.
Yeah, but I also would like my franchise to win. So that's
of course. Obviously, of course.
Yes. I would like to see actually Eagles Kansas City for a little bit of a rematch, to be honest with you.
Which nobody else wants that.
That's just me in Kansas City, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh goodness. Yeah, so there we go. Those are our divisional round picks again: Eagles, Bills, Chiefs, Lions. Moving over to college now. The college football. Again, we've got in the national championship league, we have the 7 and 8 seeds.
Yep, amazing.
Notre Dame, Penn State was an instant classic. Penn State made a What's a shame? What people are going to remember for Drew Aller's career now might not be for his whole career, but definitely going to remember that bad interception there.
It's brutal.
To end basically set up Notre Dame in game-winning field goal range. I mean, again, one play does not make or break a game, but Penn State had a couple of opportunities to seal the deal. And that game, they were up big, and they let Notre Dame hang around. And the Fighting Irish had fought their way into the championship game. And then the one we did predict correctly, which we were not surprised. I mean, to be fair, this was a touchdown game. This was 21-14. Ohio State was up on Texas. And then that scoop and score at the end, people were like, oh, it was a blowout. It's like, it wasn't a blowout. It was literally Texas was driving for the game-tying touchdown, and then it was a scoop and score in the red zone, by the way. And that's how Ohio State wins by 2 touchdowns. Ohio State, though, was the better team.
Yeah.
As we predicted. But Notre Dame versus Ohio State, this should be a fun one,
Lee. That sounds like an instant classic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, thank goodness for this playoff format, because we would have had Oregon and
oh God, yeah,
I mean,
Oregon and Georgia was
I mean, this was already better, right?
Yeah.
And this is a pure Macho Man. The cream rises to the top. All right,
the cream of the crop rises to the top.
I mean, and it happens. All right, so this should be. I was hoping for Ohio, Penn State, but again, Penn State, Notre Dame. I mean, there's another classic, like you said. So it's going to be great. Really tough to pick a winner, but if I have to do it, I'm picking Ohio State.
I agree. I'm picking Ohio State on this one. I think that this seems like a team that, in a weird way, kind of like the Texas Rangers, right? We talked about it, the Texas Rangers who lost their last game of the year and lost the division a couple of years ago, and then had a chip on their shoulder, was mad that they had to play in that first round. Similarly, Ohio State loses a game they should not have lost to Michigan, 13-10. That knocks them down all the way to the 8th seed. And it seems like they got mad.
They are mad. Yeah.
Right.
Like
Notre Dame they're talking about their coach. They're talking about their coach being on the hot seat, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And
Notre Dame was just kind of right where they should have been. You know what I mean? So again, Ohio, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. No, I know a lot of people want Notre Dame to win, and I know a lot of you think it's ordained that Notre Dame should win, but that is not how anything works in pro sports.
No, I know Ohio State's in my opinion, Ohio State's the better team.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. And it shows you how the rankings are poo-poo.
Yes. No.
But why the playoff is so important. This is a complete success this season.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
As Bama's watching on the outside, like, can we try next year? Can we play?
Maybe if you earn your way in. Yeah. I still think it was right to leave them out.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
They weren't gonna do what these teams have done. So
No, the Alabama dynasty is fortunately
kaput.
The window's closed. Especially if Jalen Milroe now goes into the draft, but we'll see what happens there. So there we go. Ohio State. I mean, Lee, anything you wanted to mention about the specific games in the semifinal, the Texas or Ohio State game, or Penn State versus Notre Dame?
No, I watched the Penn State Notre Dame game. That was, I mean, look, I'm a Penn State fan, right? Just by proxy. Yeah. But it's tough. You know what makes it tough, Ray, is that they're so young. It's like it's a little different in pro sports where you have your full career, and you're making millions of dollars, and then you see the kids, and they are kids.
Yes,
I mean they're gigantic kids, but they're kids. Yeah. It's like that interception, you could see it like the inexperience on his face afterwards. Yep. And I don't mean that in a mean way. Like I mean legitimately, you could see like, oh man, that was a dumb play. Like
that was a dumb throw.
Yeah, you tried to force something, and you can't do that in a situation like this.
Yeah,
that's a little tough when you're seeing. You can forget how young these players are.
Yeah,
I mean, I could be their dad.
Yeah. A lot of them in their late teens, early 20s. I mean, there's a couple of them who are 7-year seniors. But they're going to be doctors. That's not true. But that's a
no. I know, I get it, but like, it's there's the point I'm trying to make. There's some drama with college football that doesn't exist, I think, with professional football.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I just do want to give a big shout out to college football. This was correct. What you've done here was correct. Ray, again, you and I accurately predicted that these underdog teams would be there at the end.
Yes.
Which is how it should be. It's also going to force college teams to start thinking about their rosters, thinking about the postseason. Yeah. Not everything's riding on being 1 or 2 anymore. You just have to get in.
Get in.
Right. So the onus of losing a game and dropping from 2 to 8 should not be the be all end all of your season anymore. Now these games really matter. So this was a great job by college football. I will say it now, no matter what happens in the national championship. This is the greatest college football season I've ever witnessed. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, depending on who your teams and allegiances are. But the big final question, we'll do this like real news. A lot of national championship games are dud games. They are boring. Not all of them, but they're field goal games, and it's like they're not the big epic contest that you want. Ohio State, Notre Dame, you got to deliver in this game, and it's the cherry on top. It's already the best college football season ever. This is the cherry on top if you can make this just an epic game.
Yeah, no, it's going to be. It's going to be. Yeah, I mean, but and here's the thing: more so than ever before, I'm going to be like, I'm interested. I want to watch this.
I'm interested too. But like again, college football fans are going to kill me for this. I just think a lot of national championship games have been boring.
Oh,
not
absolutely.
all of them.
Not all of them, but a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they just never seem to live up to the hype like a Super Bowl. All right.
Well, and again, it's because a lot of these teams aren't quite battle tested the way because again, there wasn't a playoff, right? Like again, we almost had Oregon, Georgia. That would have been awful in hindsight.
Right.
Like it's one of those things. This should be. I mean, hopefully this delivers and makes us look like soothsayers. But like, this is going to be fantastic. And again, with NIL, with all this other stuff, with the recruitment process now, the game has changed.
We will talk about the transfer portal in the future.
I do want to mention one quick transfer portal, which I thought was fascinating. Carson Beck, the Georgia winning national championship quarterback, transferring. He's having off-season elbow surgery, which is, again, a shame. Part of the reason why Georgia, and I said this again, part of the reason why Georgia got knocked out so early was Carson Beck hurt his elbow in the last game of the season, and that is a big deal when you lose your championship-winning starting quarterback.
Yes.
He transfers to Miami for next year, partially to kind of reprove that he'll be okay before entering the NFL draft, partially, I've heard, because that's where his girlfriend goes. So, which sometimes that plays a factor into things. But it's going to be, but that's a big deal for Georgia. Georgia now suddenly next year doesn't look nearly as good. And suddenly Miami looking like they're going to replace Cam Ward with another possible top tier quarterback.
Yeah, it's a new world in college sports, man.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So, so that's a short show. We're not done. I got a couple minor geek things. You have to have something. All right. So the first thing is the show Skeleton Crew ends tonight. The 8th and final episode of this season ends tonight. I am extremely happy and satisfied as of right now with this show. They have set up this final episode, though, Ray, as Star Wars typically does, of can you land the ship? Yeah.
And I think that without giving anything, with no spoilers here, without giving anything away, they are in a position to do something really cool here. If that goes the way I think it's going to go, not only will it end well, but it will open up a really brilliant second season. If they go the direction I'm thinking, at least from my point of view. So here's the deal: that this is what Ray has committed to, barring he can do it with electricity and being in LA.
Yeah,
I'm going to call Ray probably tonight around 11 p.m. and I'm going to say to Ray, "You must watch this show," and he will do it. He will do it before the next show, or I will say to him, "Pass," and you don't have to watch the show. All right. I'm hoping I get to tell you to watch it, Ray. It is delightful. I've really enjoyed it. I did not have a hard time getting into it. It's been fun. The kid actors are fantastic. The droids are fantastic. Jude Law is fantastic. And the story is fantastic. Like, we talk about not knowing where something may be going. They've given all the clues of, well, here's all the pieces, but we don't know how they fit together. And that's what you want to see. Whereas Acolyte was like, you're going to figure out how this fits together in episode 3, and now you have to wait. So I'm looking forward to that. The other geek topic, Ray, a little bit on the Superman front. We teased it at the top of the show.
Yes.
Superman Reborn.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about that for a minute.
We mentioned this when we did it back in November. Superman Reborn. We did it, of course, in conjunction with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, which, of course, is a fantastic charity for spinal cord injury research. Obviously in honor of the late Christopher Reeve. We did a stage reading of the unmade fifth Superman film. This was the script for what it was never before seen first edition of the script, because later on Warner Brothers would give their notes and whatever in the process, and that a later version of the script did leak on the internet. But this was a never before seen, never before read, never before seen version of the script. Christopher Reeve had signed off on it. Margot Kidder was supposedly back on board with it. And it was supposed to be a conclusion to the Christopher Reeve Superman saga, right? Brainiac was the villain. It was really supposed to be a great way to kind of just put a bow on that era of superhero films. Obviously, it would never come to fruition for a variety of reasons. Warner Brothers sucks. And then, of course, Christopher Reeve, of course, had his unfortunate accident. But yeah, we, with the blessing of Elias Salkind, of course, the producer who produced the first 3 Superman films with Christopher Reeve, and Mark Jones, the writer of this script, we did a stage reading in Hollywood back in November. We recorded that stage reading. It is now available on YouTube. It is on the page of David Coker, my producing partner on this. It's on his YouTube page. It is not being monetized for several reasons. A, we're not looking to make money off of this. We did this for charity. Also, B, this will allow you to watch it commercial free. You're not going to get interrupted. It is a 3-hour performance. There are some breaks and stuff. And there's also part of that is also the Q&A at the end that I did with Elias Salkind and Mark Jones. So it's more like 2 hours and 40 minutes if you just want to watch the actual stage reading. It's now available, and we implore you to watch. Again, we implore you to donate. There is the link to the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. If you, again, a lot of asking for donations. If you don't want to donate to the American Red Cross for us here in LA and would rather donate to the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, go to David Coker's page, watch Superman Reborn. We'd love to see it.
It'll make you feel good either way. So, Ray, let's just, me and my journalistic nature, let's give a little tease for people. I'm going to do a quick Q&A with you on here. Ray served as the narrator.
Yes.
In this read, which is actually a pretty substantial part, obviously.
Yes.
Right. Let's 2 questions. Okay. First question is this. And again, you can tease a little bit here. So we want people to watch. What was the big scene in the film that made your eyes open wide? You don't have to tell us the result, right? But what was something that happened in this script? You're like, wow, that's really good. I wish I had seen that.
I mean, I would say the fight scenes between Superman and Brainiac would have made amazing cinema.
Yeah.
Would have made, and the guys we got to play, John Cahill, who played Superman, he's also the voice of Cabal in the Mortal Kombat games now. And Jamal Henderson, who played Brainiac, he'll be in the Michael Jackson biopic that's coming out next year. He's playing Jermaine. 2 just incredible actors who I'm fortunate enough to work with on a regular basis as part of the group that I'm part of, Deadline Junkies, which is, of course, we specialize in stage reads and cold reads and whatnot. I meet every Monday with them typically. I just, those fight scenes and the 2 of them squaring off, representing these characters. I mean, John did an amazing job channeling Christopher Reeve. Jamal brought such strength to Brainiac. Those 2 butting heads, a truly worthy opponent to Superman in terms of strength and whatnot. I think that just would have been epic to have seen, and I got very excited while reading the action scenes.
So I can't wait to see that. All right, second question, final question.
Yeah.
All Superman Christopher Reeve films have some comic relief. Obviously, in the first one, it's Gene Hackman and Otis.
Yes.
Luther and Otis. Obviously, Pryor in the third film. Before just Nuclear Man in general being pretty funny in the fourth film.
Yeah.
Who is the comic relief in this film, and how does it come across?
So I will say what was interesting about this is there's less comic relief.
Sure. Because
you have to remember the script. So the script was written in 1990. This was right on the heels of Batman 89. So, and I think they also learned from their mistakes in Superman 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And they really toned down. Like, there's a couple of winks and nods. There's actually the tease, the opening, Superman first appearing is somewhat comical. But after that, the film as in general has a pretty serious tone, I think, that folks will not probably anticipate. There's a couple of lighthearted moments, especially spoiler alert, especially when they go to the shrunken city of Kandor. But for the most part, it is a more serious take on Superman.
Yeah.
And I think they do a very good job. And I think that what's sad is that this was never made. But if they had continued with this tone of Superman, I think it could have continued into the 90s and beyond.
Well, and we saw that in the Donner cut of Superman 2. That was a much more serious film that they kind of they kidified. I'll say that. So that's interesting to hear about how Batman may have influenced this film. But yeah, Ray, no, thanks for doing a couple questions there, because I want to garner some interest for this. And I think that those two questions specifically are, reasons to listen or to watch. Yeah. Because again, this is history, right? This is movie history here. And get on David Coker, who we're a good fan of the show here, for putting that together and putting it out. So Superman Reborn, available now for free on the tube of you.
Yes.
Any computer. Yes. Fees may not apply.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, it's on YouTube, and I guess technically, I guess they gave me director credit, which I appreciate.
Oh, girl, so, you go, man. There you go.
Well, I was the again, first off, amazing thank you and kudos to the entire cast and crew. It was a team effort. I put the cast together. I found the theater, but David obviously handled a lot of the behind the scenes of actually booking the theater and then the crew for them. I put together the program. It was a team effort.
Yeah, well, it's got to be, right? Most good things are. Well, I just wanted to ask those questions and a couple more reminders. Ray did do his top 10 games of the year last week. So if you haven't seen them yet, check us out on social media, Geeks Who Like Sports, across the board, a GWLS podcast, depending on where you're looking. Ray's greatest comment was someone goes, I've never heard of this game. He goes, that's why I exist.
Yeah, that's what I do. What I do.
That's what I do. What I do. That was brilliant. And then Ray, why don't you let everybody know about your upcoming comedy shows?
Yes, so I've got comedy shows. I got next several weeks. So Friday the 17th, I'm back at the Comedy Chateau. Friday the 19th, I'm making my debut at a place called Flashback in Van Nuys. So that's a Sunday. So the show on the 17th is 7:30. The show on the 19th is 7 p.m. And then February 1st, which is a Saturday, I will be at the Ice House again in Pasadena. That's a 9 p.m. primetime show. And then the 7th, I'll be back at Fourth Wall Comedy Cafe. That is a Friday. I believe that show is 8 p.m. But yeah, so 2 more shows in January, 2 shows to kick off February. Yeah, come on out.
Ray's funny how? How are you? Funny how?
Funny haha.
Funny haha. Yeah, Ray, you make me laugh. If you haven't seen any Ray stuff, guys, it's really funny. Guy knows how to take life, put it in a blender, and make it into laughs. Pours it right out on your head.
Yes, yeah.
Laugh at this, and you will.
Laugh at my pain.
Laugh at my pain. That's your first special right there. Laugh at my pain.
Ray Carsillo. Probably be a dominant. Probably the Italian Christmas donkey.
Netflix is a joke. Ray, the Italian Life is Pain Christmas donkey.
There we go. Perfect.
There you go. All right. Well, great show today, buddy.
Yes, great show.
We had to have a Geeks Section. It's in the name.
Yes. Not a lot. We will have hopefully as
oh, things, what's gonna happen. It's going blah, 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 blah,
all the geek, we're gonna have episodes. This, folks, where we'll have more geek
Plenty
stuff.
Of Marvel films stuff coming, guys.
Yes, a lot of Marvel films coming. A month away. We're a month away now from Brave New World. So Captain America 4. Yeah. I am looking forward to it as well. But that's it for this week's episode of Geeks Who Like Sports. So for Lee, I'm Ray. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week with more Geeks Who Like Sports.